anytime we get to hear those good stories, because in reality, hospice is a hard thing. Um, you're facing death, and it's something that us in the hospice world, we deal with it every day. But when it's your loved one, when it's someone that you care about and they're dying, it's not an easy journey. It's not an easy thing to talk about. And so anytime that we get to hear about someone who had a good positive experience with hospice, that makes an impact on us. That's why we do what we do. That's why our nurses go out and do what they do. They give so much of themselves, their time and their effort and their heart to these patients. And so having him come and say, hey, you guys really positively impacted our lives, and now I want to get your message across. That means the world to us.
Hey guys, so as you know, I am supporting a few different nonprofits during my walk across the country. Future Farmers of America, Bigger Than the Trail, and of course the Hospice Promise Foundation. And today, my Nana, aunt, and I had the opportunity to go down to their base over in Tulsa in Oklahoma and chat with a few different people. So here is the interview with Nana, Rachel, a few people that worked there, and I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments below. But I'll stop talking and let them share their stories.
About Larry Collins was a full of life kind of guy. He really loved people. He just loved everything and everyone, and could make the person he never even met smile, put a smile on his face. He just had that energy of making people happy, and that was what he loved to do. And then in 2014, things started changing a little, and it just doesn't even dawn on you when somebody changes. And I just remember he wanted so badly to go on to see his two daughters who lived in California, and he wanted to see them real bad. And said, okay, well, talk to your work and we'll figure out something. And I'm assuming he did. So we planned on going, and I remember taking our trip to, and we were in. Everything was okay. We were in New Mexico, and he kept saying, "Where are we going? Where are we going?" And it didn't. I was like, "We're going to California," and he's like, "Oh, was this the way to go?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." So then we get back in the car, and he kept asking what how when you get into the car and you go, we have 23 miles to Arizona, and how we always talk about that when we're driving. And he kept saying, why are we going to Arizona, or why are we going this, why are we going that, and then it started clicking on me, and I started getting worried, and I was like, something's not right, something is not right. So then we get into a hotel, and I asked him if he was okay, and he says, I'm fine, I'm okay. So we get there, finally get to California, and I tell his daughters, there is something wrong. I don't know what it is, but there's just something wrong with your dad. So they kind of noticed it a little, but then when we came back home, um, it was things were just a little off, and I didn't think much of it. He kept saying he didn't like his job, he didn't like his work, he wanted to quit, he wanted to find something else. So I was like, okay, and I really thought that it was his job. You don't realize or think about your health. You just think that somebody just doesn't like what they're doing. So then I just remember that um, he wanted to find another job. He wanted to. He used to carry this little. He used to be on call. So when they would call him up, he would call. He would go and do whatever that he needed to have done. So I remember he would have me listen to the phone calls and write down the stuff, and I did it, thinking that maybe he was tired um, of doing it. So then I remember going with him and him saying that there was no apartment number, which was 400, and I was like, yes, there is. And then I was like, there's something off here. I'm gonna have to make an appointment, a doctor's appointment. And for the longest time he wouldn't go, and I made appointments and he wouldn't go. So I was like, how do you get a grown man to go to the doctor? How do you get a grown man to go to the doctor? You don't, because he's not going to go. So I just remember that his primary care doctor said, hey, it's time for, the annual physical. And I was like, great, I'm going to use this as a story to tell him. So he was like, okay, I filled out the thing. So he pulled me outside and says, I need to talk to you. What's going on? What do you think that's wrong with me? I said, well, I don't know what's wrong with you. I just, thought maybe we can find out together, what's going on. He's like, oh, I'm okay. And I was like, well, okay, but I still think, you should keep your appointment. So he let me keep the appointment. Thank goodness. So then the workplace said that they were going to give him 2 weeks off because he did construction, and he did work with electrical, and he did work with plumbing, and they were not they were just too scared for him to be working those kind of things because electrical, that's dangerous. So I said, okay. So they gave him a 2-week vacation time. That way I can give me some time to get him to the doctor. And so then finally he said, we got to the doctor's office, and he said, you can tell him whatever you want. And when he did, I was it was such a relief. So then the doctor came in, and I just told the doctor everything, and they started crying. And he said, okay, it's okay. We'll do blood work and we'll do an MRI. And I said, okay. So then the blood work came back negative, and then they were set for the MRI. And then on January 27th, 2015, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And
so then once you kind of had that idea, like, oh, this is what's going on, like, how did that kind of transpire, and how did that change how you guys interacted?
Well, we both cried. And they set us up for a neurologist, and then they gave us I don't even know the pill names anymore. They gave him some pills some medication to slow the process. So slow down the process. Is that what it's supposed to be doing? So it did slow the process down, but it wasn't. It was still getting. He was still, yeah, and he was angry all the time. He had anger. It was the anger that he had. And I think the reason for the anger is that he knew he was losing everything. He knew he couldn't do the things that he could do. So that's what you're a man, and you're supposed to, that's you work, you take care of your kids, and you take care of the house, and you're the man of the house, and you're losing all that. And I think that's what made him angry. He's losing it, and he knew he was getting Alzheimer's. And what I didn't know, that he told my oldest son, pulled him aside and told Kyle, told him that he was going to die. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And for him to take the reins. So anyway, it was hard. It was hard. And my best friend Valerie, we try to, I had a lot of people saying, put him in a home, constantly. That's all I kept hearing. And I kept saying, not putting him in a home. He's not going in a home. Sorry, not doing it. And then I started thinking about the wedding vows and what they really truly mean. And yeah, so I wasn't putting him in a home. So Valerie was being so sweet, trying to find facilities maybe, and there was that facility over where you live, where my son and wife live. There's a facility, Alzheimer's unit over there, and my friend said, "Let's just go and look at it," and I was dreading it, but I said, "Okay, we'll go. We'll look at it," and we looked at it, and I was like, I'm not." I'm not. In my head, I was like, I'm not. I'll look at it, but I'm not doing it. Um, so anyway, she's like, okay, whatever you want to do, we'll do. And so we both, she helped me out a lot because she was, yeah, it took him wherever. But then he started. I don't even know when he started losing he couldn't speak anymore. He would say little words, and then he couldn't speak anymore. So I was thinking, I've been reading, because there's frontal Alzheimer's. I can't remember the name of it, but it affects the frontal part, which is speech. And I think that's pretty much the kind of Alzheimer's that he had, because his speech, it was gone, and then he couldn't speak anymore. So it was more, you couldn't ask questions. You couldn't tell him questions. There was no more question asking. But to learn that, to not ask somebody a question was really a struggle, because I kept asking him, do you want this or do you want that? And Valerie kept saying, don't tell him that. He doesn't understand. I said, but you don't understand that it's hard to eliminate that when you get, it was a struggle for me to try to not say that. I just give it to him. Just give it to him. He doesn't care. Just give it to him. I was like, okay, you're right. Just give it to him. So that was a struggle. But and then she started doing more research, and she came up with, I guess she read about Grace Hospice. She would be really good to interview. Because she was the one that gave me the number and how to contact them. So that's when she gave me the number, which was in 2019. Had to be 2019. I don't even know how long. The papers, though. I found the Grace Hospice papers. But I didn't think it was in 2019 when they came. And they were just wonderful. They just knew the steps. I mean, they were just, yeah, she was amazing. The nice nurse that came and filled out all the information and got the ball rolling. I mean, it was quick. And, I was thinking, well, they'll come in a couple months, or they'll give me time, and, they'll call, they'll give me a call. And no, it happened right away. And yeah, so then they came, and the nurse came the next day and started checking his vitals and all that. And I was like, wow, this is real. And the nurse was just wonderful. They were, the whole group of who came in and saw him were all wonderful people, because they were so sweet and pleasant. And that's what people need, when you're dealing with, because, when you go to the doctor, some doctors and nurses that are not very happy, and Grace was just a really good place to be, because that's what you need. They're there. They're smiling all the time for you and comforting you, and you need that. You need that comfort. You need that support, and that's what they were there for. And they came and they did what they needed to do, and it was great. And they gave me all those options to take, and I didn't take those options. I was like, no, not yet. No, not yet. Maybe next time around. That's what I kept saying, because I didn't want to give up the last bit that I had to hold, what I thought was the last thing I had to hold on to. But if I could do it again, I wouldn't want to, but if I could, I would take the full advantage of what they had, all that support, because because then I wouldn't have been so burnt out towards the end, because it was, yeah. Rose, you're looking rough. Well, really? Duh. You sure you don't want to put them in a home? No, we're fine. We're okay.
Yeah, and you've mentioned the vows a few times. I mean, even just in our conversations,
Mm-hmm.
even when Julie and I visited last year, you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
What and we talked a little bit about, you say these things, you repeat after me, like you do
Yes.
the show, you do the
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And something that I've kind of been saying, like through my coaching, through my whatever, is people spend so much time planning the wedding
Yeah.
that they spend more time planning the wedding than they do the marriage.
Yeah.
Like, what do those vows mean to you going through that process and finally you've said it before, like letting go of control,
Yeah.
but it sounds like there's something deeper there.
I don't think it's like control. I mean, I don't think it's control. I think it's more the help, the letting somebody help you. Nobody wants in this world wants to be, they don't want to feel like, oh, I got to go help her again. I think that's what was in my head. Oh, Rose called. Oh gosh, we got to help her, because a lot of times family is that way, or you hear stories to where families say, they don't want to help this person because they keep calling them all the time. And I think that got into my head to where I don't want to call people. I don't want to bother anybody. I'll do it. I'll take care of it all. And that's not true. That's all false.
It sounds like there was that story in your head that if you ask for help, you're a burden. You're
Yes,
this, you're
that's
that.
it.
But
That's
it's like
it.
you're carrying this huge weight.
Yes.
And it's like, sure, somebody's coming to help, but they
Yeah.
have a forklift. Like they can
Exactly.
It'll be easier for them, or they have better resources.
Exactly. That's so true. And you just but you don't see it that way, because your head is when you have a loved one who's sick. He's your best friend, and he's sick, and you're like, I'm the one that's supposed to take care of him. Nobody else needs to take care of him. That's my responsibility. Um, so that's how I felt. And I just wish that people would realize that's not how it plays out. That's not how it is. They are there to help you. When they say we are here to help, you take the help. You don't waste time, because they wouldn't offer it to you if they didn't mean it. The marriage vows, when we're young and we get married and we say all the vows, we say them, but really maybe a lot of people really don't realize what these vows truly mean. And it didn't when you're young. It didn't to me. And then when he got sick, it's, I did a lot of praying, and then I started thinking about the vows even more, and it just struck and said, that's what they mean. For better, for worse, for sickness, in health. And I was like, that's it. And now I told my kids, it's when you marry, it's not about the lovey-dovey. It's not about, it's deeper. The marriage is deeper. And with Zachary, because Zachary saw it all with his father. And I said, as I was going, this is it, son. For better, for worse, in sickness and in health. This is it. This is what you have to realize, that if anything were to happen to any of your loved one, if you were to get married, take it seriously. It's not a joke.
So he is helping raise money for the Hospice Promise Foundation. So the Hospice Promise Foundation is through Grace Hospice, and it provides non-medical provisions to patients and their families, such as rent, grocery assistance. We've helped pay for moving expenses. We cover last wishes, which is really great. It's kind of a neat program that we get to do, where they tell us that I have a dream to go do this or to go on a train, and we're able to make that happen through volunteers and through funds that we raise through the Hospice Promise Foundation.
Why have you picked hospice as your service to
Mm-hmm.
the world and people?
I didn't pick hospice. Hospice picked me. That's so cliche. It sounds so weird, but it's so true. I don't have a medical background. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I got a bachelor's degree in psychology because it was easy and I didn't have to take a lot of math. I didn't ever intend, you don't come out of college saying, I want to go deal with death every day. You just don't. Most nurses are like, I want to go on the ER floor. I want to deal with trauma and that kind of stuff. And then, I don't know, hospice calls to you somehow. You have someone that pulls you in or something that pulls you in. And for me, it was one of my mentors worked in hospice and just kept trying to pull me in. And this time's not right. It's just not a good time. I had my daughter, and kids will change you. And I made that switch of saying, I want to do more, whatever that looks like, whatever that may lead to. And through really no fault of my own or no planning on my part, I end up in hospice and knew very, very quickly that that was where I was being called to. And I don't go see patients. I have a very different role in hospice. I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor. And so I support those. And I have found so much joy and so much self-worth in being able to support people who do a job I probably couldn't do. I know I couldn't do, who are in the homes dealing with disease and grief and heavy stuff all day long. And I am able to go to bat for them, whatever that looks like, to bring them into my office and let them sit and say, I got a Red Bull in the fridge. Go grab it. It's yours. And to support them in ways so that they can continue to support others. I talk about the cup all the time. They give so much, they pour so much out of their cups, and my job is to put back into them. And it's a weird job, and it's so perfect for me and so perfect for my family and so perfect for what we've created here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. In terms of, so of course, Nana Rose just talked about her experience with Grace Hospice and how it's just this whirlwind, this lady comes in and she's nice. Thank God she's nice.
Yeah.
Because again, you hear the horror stories.
Yeah.
Like that's what people hear is like people, like, they're taken advantage of, they're treated like garbage, whatever. In your guys' case, can you kind of shed light on like what you guys do from the hospice side, like those papers that she was signing, like this help that she was getting, that she was kind of toning into? Yeah. Like, can you explain? Somebody calls you and says, hey, I have a partner who has blank. What do you guys do?
So it's a rush for us too. Like it's weird. It's kind of the equivalent, I guess, of like EMS getting that call of like, we've got someone in need, and we're like, all right, go time. So we get that call and we immediately go to work. We're getting information as much as possible. And sometimes, what we get is, I don't know what to do. It's my husband and he has something. What specifically does he have? I don't know. We just visited the doctor this morning. And so we may just have a first name and a phone number. And we have to start putting pieces together. And so sometimes it's 4 or 5 or 6 phone calls of just talking through things. Sometimes it's, all right, here's all the information. When can you guys come see us? And so, our staff knows what they're doing. We are blessed with staff who want to help. And the staff we have are at this point pretty tenured. We're very blessed with that. And they do what they do because that's what they were called to do. So they know what to do. They know what conversation. They know how to read the room. So we get the information and we send a nurse. And that nurse goes out and says, all right, talk to me. How are we discovering that they're hospice eligible? To be hospice eligible, the patient wants it, and there's a prognosis of 6 months or less. That's it. We don't have to have a physician that says, yes, this is it. It doesn't have to be a big formal process. And so the nurse is out there to get more information. What was your husband like 6 months ago? What about at Christmas? Oh, well, my husband was up walking and talking and we had a great Christmas. Okay, well, it's May now. What's changed since then? Well, he really is pretty withdrawn, or he doesn't walk much, or he's sleeping 18 hours a day. And so it's us trying to figure out where we can, and through all those questions, that's how we can help. It's so hard to get him to the bathroom. It's so hard to get him awake and get dressed. He's sleeping too much. He's always complaining about pain. Well, we know from those conversations, they need an aide. They need someone who can come and help get him into the shower. And they need a physician who is good with pain control. And they need a hospital bed so that they don't have to worry about getting up and down. And, so in all of these really weird questions and in all of this paperwork, that's what our nurses are hearing. This is where we can help. The paperwork is, saying we give your care to hospice. We're giving us to you. And so we take that patient on and we're saying, let's figure out what we need from here. And sometimes it's just a nurse. And all that we have to do is have a nurse come out every 14 days. That's obviously not our goal, because very few people who are in that position, that's all they really need. Sometimes it may be figuring out that they need more than that, but usually they need more than that. So how often do you need a nurse to come check on you? How often do you need an aide to come check your mail, or clean your bed sheets, or throw a load of laundry in, or pick up around the house, or give a bath, or apply lotion to your skin, do your nails, comb your hair, braid your hair, wash your hair? We've gone into so many homes, and that's just, we had a biker. I'll never forget it. We had a biker. He had long, gorgeous silver hair. And his wife is like, I've only been able to give him a bed bath. He's a huge guy. And so our aide went in and was able to really wash his hair, braid his hair, make it beautiful. And that was just what she kept going. She just kept saying, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. And those are little things that we're able to pick up on that we can help with. Bringing in a chaplain, a social worker. Do you need help with funeral arrangements? Or, how many death certificates do you need to get afterwards? It's stuff that you just don't think about that we're there for. And the paperwork is helping us get all of that information. And, coordinating with your neurologist or cardiologist or your oncologist or your PCP that you've been going to see for 45 years, coordinating with them. What have you seen? And how can we best coordinate with you? Can we, knock off 4 medications, put it into one, and eliminate some pill burden or something like that? And so it's all about listening for those subtle cues, even if they don't know that they need it, coming in and saying, we think you could benefit from. Oh, you're right. And the thing that Rose kept saying is, I wish that we would have taken advantage of all the services. What we hear more than often across the country, I wish I would have known about hospice sooner. I wish I would have gone on to hospice sooner, because we can provide so much care. And we can do it in a short period of time, but the goal is that we're able to step in with the forklift, because that's what we're paid to do. It's our job. It's our mission. It's our life's purpose to help, so that Rose can be a wife instead of a caregiver, because there's so much involved with that caregiving. And our goal is that you can be a son or a spouse or a daughter or a granddaughter, and let us do the rest, because that's where you need to be right then and there. You need to be their spouse. It's not their fault that this has happened, and your relationship with them shouldn't change because of whatever's going on. And so let us be the one that they get angry at because we're forcing them to take a bath or making them take a medication. And you be the one, yeah, they're awful. Good job. Kind of a thing.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about how Grace Hospice comes in and helps families, with the aide, with the nurse, the actual care that hospice would cover.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, during the walk, I'm raising money specifically for the Hospice Promise Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
How are those different? How are they the same? And what does the foundation do exactly?
So the foundation is a nonprofit foundation. It is through our hospice organization, and it helps offset the things that Medicare and hospice don't cover. So, Medicare hospice, we're covering beds and wheelchairs and broda chairs and nutritional supplies and medications. But there's other things because life keeps going for patients and for their families. The Hospice Promise Foundation comes in and helps with those things. Rent assistance because you've been off work taking care of your loved one for 6 months. We come in and we help with groceries. You haven't been able to get out of the house because you can't leave your loved one alone. We can help provide those groceries. We have volunteers that can help sit for short periods of time to let you go out and be you again. Go get a pedicure, go to the shooting range, whatever your thing is, you still are you. And the Hospice Promise Foundation makes all that happen. We also grant last wishes. So that's a beautiful part of it too. We're able to help, fulfill dreams for the patient and their families while they still can. So it's a great offset. It just goes to show again this total care aspect of hospice, of caring for the patient and their medical needs as well as their social needs and their living needs, whatever that may be or whatever that looks like. We're here to help. We also, through the foundation, provide burial assistance because it is expensive. We have some really great community partners with funeral homes, and they work with us and our families. But sometimes there are no families, and that's a tough situation. So we partner with our foundation, and they're able to come in and help offset some of those burial expenses. And that's an important part of what we do too. So.
My name is Sheila, and I'm a patient care manager. I help manage care for the patients out there and help the nurses take care of them. I also go see patients too sometimes, and just try to really help everybody have what they need so they're comfortable and and taken care of. Sorry.
I know Walker just really wants to be center of attention. Huh?
Okay, you just gonna sit? No, you're moving around. But I just help out everybody, basically. If you need something, I help you get it.
Yeah. What does it mean to you to be there for families in this time of need, of worst case situation, right? Like, isn't that kind
It
of
is,
almost
yes.
what it is for folks? Like, what is
A
it?
lot of
What is that
times.
significance for you?
Well, so a lot of times I talk with people when they're first coming on service and they're overwhelmed. They don't even know what we can do. So a lot of times I will talk to them and I will tell them, hey, this is available and this isn't last days of life. We can help you before that.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, trying to get them home as well from the hospital or wherever they're at, just so they can be at home. A lot of people don't understand everything that we can do, and I'm it makes me feel good to be able to explain that to everyone and make them I'm sorry. Anyway, just try to make their life easier, just make everything better, to let them know that they can come home and things can be good.
What else? What would you say is like a pretty common misconception that people have about hospice care, or something that people are surprised about when you show up and what you guys do?
Like they sometimes don't understand all the things we can do. Like we can keep everyone comfortable. We can, some people are scared of morphine, so we have to educate about, morphine's not euthanasia. It's to make you be comfortable, and that's what we want. We want everybody to be comfortable, breathing easy, pain control, all that symptom management. That's what we're about. Whoops, yeah, there you go, honey.
For now.
But
else?
but yeah, just the services that we can provide. We can even do short term like physical therapy, and we have people that are on feeding tubes. People don't think that that's available, and it's not just end of life. That's a big thing.
Perfect.
Yeah, so my name is Caitlin Eversole, and I am the volunteer coordinator over the volunteer department. I also oversee the We Honor Veterans program. Grace is at level 5, which is the highest level of the We Honor Veterans program. And I just make sure that all of our requirements are done. That way we can stay at level 5 every year. And then I also help out with the foundation, the Promise Foundation as well. And that's just kind of a little gist. But my biggest tasks are, other than the We Honor Veterans program, I spend a lot of time recruiting volunteers, bringing them on, onboarding them, training them, and getting them ready to go out and see patients. We also have volunteers here in the office as well that do administrative work. Um, we have several patients that are in need of socialization, companionship, and things like that. Or we have caregivers that are in need of relief. So I pair up volunteers that are good for them, and hi. And we do pet therapy as well. So just throwing that out there if Walker ever wants to help.
We'll make
But
a return trip back.
yeah. So the patients really thrive when they have someone to talk to. If, if they're the kind of patients that want that. So we've got a volunteer right now who's helping out with that, and it's going really well. And we have craft volunteers too. So we have all kinds of things going on, just like Walker.
Yeah,
All kinds of things.
I know he's had quite the week.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm rambling a little.
No, you're good. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, let me know if I need to kind of hone in on anything in particular,
I don't know,
or
because
if I didn't explain anything.
no, I think it's pretty. It's like volunteers. Like, okay, so
Yeah.
how many volunteers do you
Currently,
manage?
so currently we just have let's see, 5. I'm bringing on a 5th one right now. But I mean, we are meeting our numbers. So a lot of people don't know that with hospice, Medicare requires that 5% of the patient hours, field staff and everyone seeing patients, 5% of those hours need to be matched by volunteers. It's a requirement with hospice. So a lot of people don't know that. So that's why we have a whole department specifically for the volunteers.
Wow, that's interesting, and that's just to maintain that relationship with you said Medicare and Medicaid.
Medicare, yes.
Medicare specifically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And like I said, we've got craft volunteers. We have patient volunteers who go out and sit with the patients or talk with them. They can listen to music with them. We do have actual room for volunteers that have pets, like pet therapy and things like that. We also could do actual like musicians who go out and play for the patients. The craft volunteers, we have several craft volunteers actually. um, they actually make quilts and stuff for our patients, and so that's really nice. So we give those out to our veterans. They make veteran quilts. They also, we give them out for birthdays as well to the patients, and that's something they love. And the families of course love that too. So a little keepsake for them.
So it sounds like there's whatever people's hobbies are, their skills, their interests. It sounds like
Yeah.
there's an opportunity for them to focus on that as a volunteer
Yes.
with different people.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah. It's been really awesome to work with. I mean, just talking to one of the volunteers yesterday, actually, he went and saw a patient and mingled with him for a couple hours, learned about his past, and you could tell it was just really rewarding for him. But it's also just so good for the patient as well. So
Yeah. And then, so if somebody is saying, like, let's say they are interested in being a volunteer, whether it's a craft volunteer, it sounds like there's even an opportunity to just write down stories from these people, or
yeah,
like that would, I don't know, that would be kind of fun.
yeah, that would be really
But
cool.
what does that onboarding process look like? If they're like, okay, I want to volunteer, I want to help out, like what's that next step of
For sure.
getting in front of these people?
So the craft volunteers, they don't really have to do much. They just talk to me and we can get them on board pretty quickly. But as far as like patient volunteers and administrative support volunteers, things like that, like where they may be going in the home or working with, confidential information, it is a little bit more of a process. So they'll actually go online and fill out kind of like submit like general information, and then I'll set up just a quick interview, just make sure this is something that they want to do and explain the process a little bit more. They'll fill out an application. They do go through like a background check, a drug test, and things like that. Just, we want to be, we want to be cautious about who we let into the patient's homes and whatnot. So,
Of course.
once all that's done, yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. So,
Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us during this episode and hearing the stories from my Nana, from Rachel, from everybody else that is kind of boots on the ground making the magic happen, right? If you want to support the walk and our mission to really just empower the world to add their magic and support Grace Hospice, the Hospice Promise Foundation, Future Farmers of America, and Bigger Than the Trail, I'll post all the information down for the fundraiser in the description. It's just a Facebook fundraiser. Just go there if you want to support. If you want to learn more about Grace Hospice, I'll link everything down in the show notes and the description for you. And I think my biggest takeaway from today is that there is help out there, that there are people that are willing to share their magic, share their vision, share their passion with others. And you're not a burden for asking for help, that there's people out there, like we kind of said during the interview with Rachel and Nana. If you're struggling with the weight of whatever you're going through and you're kind of just using your hands, there's other people that have a forklift that have the tools to support you and get you through it. So ask for help, get out there, make something happen, help others, support others, and as always, have fun, stay safe, and be yourself. Thanks.